What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of TECSpertZ. My name is Nick Green, the News and Sports Director with WZMB.
My name's Tyler Bonacore, sports reporter for the East Carolinian.
My name's Caleb Johnson, sports editor for the East Carolinian.
And my name's Ken Gates, station manager for WZMB.
And we are back with yet again another episode of TECSpertZ, recapping everything going on in ECU baseball currently. But before we do that, we do want to have a very quick, brief announcement, as we had two of our men's basketball players enter the transfer portal, with Felton and Mbang entering the transfer portal this past week. So we did want to go ahead and bring that up. If you guys want to mention that in your talks, you're more than welcome to, but I'm not going to really get into a segment of it because it's, just news. It's
More
not
to
really,
come. That's all I
yeah.
want to say.
That being said, let's go ahead and jump right on to ECU baseball. The Pirates won their series 2-1 against UAB. Great first two. Well, the second day was phenomenal, despite GVK having another injury, which we really did not need that. But the first 2 days won those two, but could not bounce back in the third day and get a solid win that one. Gentlemen, what were your overall thoughts on the series against UAB?
Honestly, I'm happy with the 2-1 win. Losing Colby Weber and not having him on Sunday kind of hurt. So that's why we saw that big rotation of a bunch of different guys. But we also knew they were going to light the scoreboard up, and they did whenever we were putting out arguably like our least talented group of pitchers out there on Sunday. So I'm not mad at the loss on Sunday. Obviously, I'd like to win it. But I think a lot of guys that had been slumping, a.k.a. Grady Linehan, caught fire in the series a little bit, which was great to see. And then also, too, I think as a team, we just overall gained a lot of momentum and confidence. And I'm just excited to see how it carries over into the next series.
Yeah, I thought it was Cannon's turn. We did
never
this
know.
last week.
You never know.
No, overall, yeah, I think it was a great weekend. Obviously, first weekend of conference play. I think it was very important for us to come away with a series win. UAB was a tough. We were pretty similar. Had pretty similar starts to the season. I think we were both like 12-8 to start the year. And yeah, I think Grady Linehan bouncing back was huge for him. He's a great bat that we have, and getting him to perform to the best of his abilities is definitely key for us going forward in the future. And honestly, with the Sunday game, none of our guys pitched good whatsoever. Like, even the guys that were out there really didn't pitch well. We had a lot of guys thrown. So
Marley pitched well.
Webb pitched well.
Yeah. Okay, Marley and Webb pitched well.
2 out of 6 though.
Yeah, Sean Jenkins didn't have his stuff. He only got one out. But overall, not mad at the loss. UAB's a good team, honestly. I'm just happy with the series win, and glad the bats were able to wake up a little bit.
Yeah, Ethan Orby finally bounced back. And even when you look at the stat line, it wasn't anything crazy, but he actually was getting outs, which is what we've been needing from him. He went for a while. And then Charlie Hoagland, man, he had a solid game as well. But yeah, good weekend. We were talking about how UAB's great offense and all that, and they scored 14 runs on the weekend. Nothing crazy. They finally actually was doing something on Sunday, and as they mentioned, it was against guys who aren't as good and not our top guys who you see in the midweek and on the games where we're blowing teams out and stuff like that.
Did they get to that 8.5 home run line?
Not even close.
Not even close.
I think they got 2, maybe.
We were sitting here, we were like, oh, they're getting there. And I was like, 8.5 is ridiculous.
Well, I thought Norby would let up at least one. That was kind of what I was relying on. And a 3-2 game on Friday, honestly, as soon as I saw it, I didn't text y'all. I was like, oh, that ain't it. That ain't going. But, the pitching actually showed up. Obviously, the Van Kempen injury is tough. Now, I don't know about him. We don't know about Weber yet, really. It's tough to see.
How do we still not have a timeline for Weber?
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, I can tell you how we don't have a timeline, because the MRIs take a little bit to get a schedule. I know from personal experience how it can take a little while to get an MRI.
The difference between a collegiate athlete, though, and
no, now that
and
yes.
a nerd.
And a
Now
nerd.
that yes. However, I can speak a little bit as to how we might not know what's going on with Colby Weber right now.
But yeah, and then it showed in the American Awards this week. The best player of the weekend, Davin Whitaker. He got American Conference honorable mention. I would have liked to come out and took sole possession of first place, because if we won on Sunday, we would have been in sole possession. And now it's, I think, us and 3 other teams are tied at 2-1. But outside of that, successful weekend. They did not look. Honestly, Cliff said it. They did not look sharp on Sunday. They looked a little bit tired, and you can kind of see even just watching on TV. They didn't seem to have their stuff. I mean, it was just Grady and Davin who really did much of anything hitting wise. But regardless, I'll take it. We went 2-1 on the weekend. We can deal with that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm going to take a series win any day of the week, no matter what. Like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if we win a series, I'm going to be pretty happy about it, no matter what. That being said, obviously the Sunday loss kind of hurts a little bit just because of the fact that we could have came out. You would have liked to see us get our first series sweep in a long time. It's been since last year at this point. And it's been, I don't even remember at this point how long it's been since our last series sweep. I know it's been last year, but it could be, I want to say April maybe, but I could be wrong about that. I don't know, to be honest with you. But either way, it's been a while. So obviously you would have liked to start off the weekend with a series sweep. You'd like to start off conference play with a series sweep. That being said, 2-1, it's not bad. We'll take it, UAB, obviously, they had the power bats going into the series. They had been hitting the ball pretty well. But outside of Sunday, we did really well against them. And, even on Saturday with GVK, what inning did GVK go down? Do you guys remember?
The third or fourth.
Third or fourth inning. Yeah, I mean, we're used to seeing this is the past 2 games. We had GVK going at least 6, 7, and not even trying to make a joke there, but 6, 7 innings for us. And so, the fact that we were able to come out, he's only had 2 innings, have a bullpen day, and still run rule in the 7th inning was huge. I mean, I think that's a huge momentum. It's a huge confidence boost. Huge confidence boost to our bullpen. To show that they can do that. I mentioned last week that I thought the Saturday game that we would come out swinging. We did. Unfortunately, I didn't think that GVK would go down in the process of that. So hopefully he's okay. And hopefully both him and Weber are not done for the year. Obviously, I'm a little concerned about that because when you have an arm injury as a pitcher, I mean, it's unlikely they're going to return. But I really hope we get them back at some point, hopefully by American Conference Tournament time, maybe regional time, but we will see. I mean, it really all depends on what the MRI results say. Both of them did. That being said, obviously, yeah, we had some bats come to play that we weren't really expecting. Well, I wouldn't even say not really expecting, but some bats that you don't normally hear from. Grady Linehan having a really good series this weekend. Davin Whitaker having a good series. Jack Herring was back in the lineup this week. What do you guys think it's going to take in order to get the offense really where everybody is swinging the bat well?
I think another guy that none of us have mentioned yet that we need to give his flowers because he had been slumping to start the year is Austin Irby too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That performance on Saturday, I think he had
There's actually
5
another
RBIs.
Yeah, 5 RBIs.
Yeah. So I mean, hats off to him. What were you saying though? What was the question?
Basically, what do you think it's going to do to really round out the lineup where everybody's eating?
I think guys just need to stay healthy and stay consistent. I mean, that sounds so simple, but that's such a tough task to take care of.
Yeah.
But I mean, when we look at this lineup from top to bottom, I think, you look at the top of the lineup, you've got Braden Burris, you got Matt Lashley, you got Jack Herring, and then you move down the lineup and you're seeing Colby Wallace hitting in the 7 and 8 and 9 spot. There is quality talent all the way up and down this lineup. It's just a matter of putting it all together on any given day. And I think that pretty much happened on Saturday. I mean, we a run rule in the 7th inning, so yeah. I mean, it's just consistency. I mean, and as the season progressed, like we all know with this team, as the season progresses, everybody on this team gets progressively better. It's almost like they just start to take things more seriously as the season goes on. I don't know why it seems that way, especially given the coach that Cliff Godwin is, but it just seems like it always kind of plays out that way for us.
Yeah, I think another guy I want to kind of shout out that had a pretty good weekend was Carlos Hockenman.
I was going to mention him.
That's what I thought Kale was going with.
I was also going to mention Carlos Hockenman.
He was able to get on base a ton. He had 4 or 5 hits on the weekend. Kind of maybe inserting himself in that lineup for the future if Jack Herring maybe stays at the DH with trying to heal the injury. So I
hate
think
the idea.
I would not be mad at that at all.
Yeah, Vogley, I mean, he had his little stretch where he played good, but he hasn't been great.
Same
since-
thing with Boucher. Boucher had
Yeah.
a nice, but Boucher
And,
strikes out way too much.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Klinich.
Yeah.
Bachman. He
Yeah.
was. He was
Yeah.
not really that good though either.
Yeah.
I wish he was.
Hakame, I feel like it's
I would-
outperformed
actually, I
all of
wouldn't
them at
hate
the
that
plate,
at
though. I think that he's been really good for us. So having him as another guy who can get on base is big. But I think for me, if we want to see the offense produce at a high level, we need some power. Bad. I feel like we haven't really had a big power surge this year. I mean, we had that game against on Saturday. We had 3 bombs, but I feel like especially from Irby and Colby Wallace especially as well. I think we need some more power. See some balls fly out of the yard. So I think for me that's the key with the offense continuing to stretch. Yeah.
I mean, while I do agree with that, I don't honestly. I think that's kind of one of the last things on Cliff Godwin's mind. We all know how Cliff plays.
True.
But I completely agree with that. But that's just kind of how it kind of goes with him.
That's fair.
I will say this. Braden Burris really not have a good weekend. He didn't play terrible, but especially Sunday. Usually whenever he doesn't necessarily hit well, he'll go like 1 for 4. All 4 of those at bats are quality, and I would say especially Sunday, that's the game I paid the most attention, watched like most of. He didn't perform as well as I think he could have. But outside of that, I mean, yeah, you guys pretty much hit the nail on the head on the hammer on everybody. Walker Barron's still playing well behind the plate. It'll be interesting to see how Duke comes up tomorrow night, and then UTSA this weekend. That's tough 4 games.
Yeah.
If we can go,
huge.
Huge.
I know we'll talk
weekend.
about the predictions later, but I mean, if we go 2-2 in that, whichever way it shapes out, I think that's a pretty good week.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. I'm glad y'all mentioned Hakame because I've really liked a lot of his at bats recently. I thought he's had some really good at bats. And he's hitting the ball pretty well. I mean, honestly, the whole bottom of the order really has been hitting the ball fairly well. And the top of the order, I'm not gonna say they're like. Obviously, I don't worry as much about the top of the order because these are, the more experienced quality at bats. You get more quality at bats of them like throughout the season. But that being said, just this weekend, it didn't seem like it was really all there. In the top of the order, it really is kind of the bottom of the order where you got most of the offensive production from. So obviously, that's a good problem to have at the bottom of the order is getting the production and not the top. But at the same time, you do want everybody eating. At terms, that's how you play good quality baseball is when you get, at bat, a good quality at bat after good quality at bat after good quality at bat. Get in the bullpen. That's when you can really just defeat teams, like when you can absolutely just kill them, which is what you are used to seeing out of ECU baseball clubs. That being said, gentlemen, I mean, I kind of briefly touched on this earlier in the episode that we have not really had a series sweep since last year. I don't remember the exact time that was the last series sweep that we had. Do you guys think that the reason why we have not had a series sweep since then is an inexperience on this team? Do you think it's just, a mental thing from this team? Do you think it's a talent? What do you think that is? And do you think that's something you could see us fixing very soon?
I'll answer first on this one if you guys are cool with that. I think it's pitching.
Yeah.
Last year, it was really just like it was just Norby, and Sean performed well at times. And then this year, it's been, GVK's been great. Weber had some good performances, but then Norby was struggling at the beginning of the year. So I think it's a lot of that. I mean, yes, experience comes into parts on that. I just think it really has been pitching. And we all know we don't schedule tough. Even if they're like perceived not as a great team like Penn was, Penn, Marty Hoyne, who's their Saturday pitcher, went 5 innings, shutout ball against Texas A&M. Like, yes, like you look at the team's record, all that, you would think, oh, this team's not very good, all that type of stuff. But they are. I mean, they're not showed. They haven't showed yet, but they are. And then you have teams. I mean, that's basically it. It's just I think we schedule tough and then pitching. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think it's also to just injuries as a whole, especially to the pitching staff. Just to kind of piggyback off of what you were saying. Last year, obviously, a lot of injuries. We were waiting on Ryan Towers and Brighton Tolick to play all season long, and they never did. And now this year we have GVK injury, Colby Weber injury. So I don't think. I mean, the team starts slow, yes, 100%, and I think that plays into it as well. But I think that a lack of quality in the bullpen because of injuries is the main kicker for me. The big hole I see.
Yeah, I think you guys pretty much said exactly what I was going to say. Also, like the American Conference is like a really good baseball conference overall. I feel like, so
They don't get their flowers.
Yeah. Oh,
Nice
the
guys.
lights are off.
No,
It's
perfect.
like the Super Bowl 2011.
Yeah.
Ravens 49ers.
Yeah, but I think for me, the American Conference is a good baseball conference. Like we look at this weekend, UTSA was in the top 25 to start the year, and when they were 10-0 or whatever. So I think combination of injuries, bullpen issues last year, which we have been a little bit better this year, but most of it I think is pitching. So I think pitching, and then also maybe not giving enough credit to the conference. So.
I am going to have a little bit of a different answer from you guys. So I obviously now last year why we didn't have as many sweeps, I will agree it's pitching. I think that is the biggest reason why we didn't see it as much last year. Pitching and then inconsistency in the offense. Sometimes there was days when the offense just would not show up to their full potential. It wasn't really until we got to the American tournament when we decided we were going to get on a run and really go do something. And that's when this team kind of put everything on their back and said they're playing with house money, and obviously the rest is history. Went all the way to the Conway Regional and performed pretty well in that. Went all the way to the regional final there. However, my answer, I mean, obviously I would like to say, like, sure, we've had some injuries in the pitching starting rotation. We've had some injuries in the bullpen last year. However, the losses we've had this year have not been on the days when the pitching struggled. The losses we've had this year have been on the days when the pitching was actually phenomenal. And we just couldn't get anything going offensively. I honestly think it's probably more of a mental thing. Every time we've lost so we've won a lot of these series. It's been 2-1, but the one loss we had was a bad loss where it's like nobody's playing well. It's a mental thing, in my opinion. From what it looks like to me, anyway, it looks like it's a mental thing that they're just not there. They either are underestimating the opponent, they think it's already won, or in the sense of like what happened last week when GVK and Sean Jenkins had 17 strikeouts, they just didn't show up because they thought they didn't need to with how well the pitching staff was. So I think it's a combination of, yes, there's pitching injuries, but I think the days we've lost have been the days when it's like, okay, like it's just mental stuff. So obviously mental stuff, it's not on like that stuff you can fix. You just have to show up every day ready to play. You can't underestimate anybody. And Coach Godwin's going to hound that into them to like, hey, like you can't underestimate these guys. You could tell Coach Godwin was not happy at all in the post-game press conference after the Game 3 loss. That press conference literally lasted a minute. I mean, if you go on YouTube, you can see it was literally like a minute and 4 seconds of how long that press conference lasted. Just because they were like, he was not really too happy about it. And, like, he's a competitive guy. He's a competitive coach. He's obviously, whenever EC loses, he's not happy. He's probably going to be the most unhappy person out of everybody. I mean, we'll get upset as fans, but nobody gets more upset about it than Cliff Godwin does. So I think that's just kind of my take on it personally. I don't know, like, what y'all think about that.
That's a good take.
But that being said, obviously, we do have a very tough week coming up with Duke and UTSA. Is UTSA still ranked?
No, I think they dropped out. They've been struggling.
They
actually
dropped
the
a
last
game
2 days.
in the conference.
Okay. Well, I knew they dropped a game in the conference, but I wasn't sure if they dropped out of the rankings or not. That being said, either way, they're right out of the rankings if they were not ranked. These are teams that can be and like are really good. This is going to help our RPI a lot if we can squeeze out some wins here. What are your guys' expectations going into this week?
My expectations, I'll be honest with you, aren't entirely too high, especially with those 2 injuries. I think we do have some momentum offensively, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to carry us through the week. I think what Cannon said earlier, if we can go 2-2 through this week, that's a great week. And I pretty much agree with that take as a whole.
I mean, I would love to see us win the series. UTSA is 4-6 in their last 10. So I mean, they're kind of struggling right now, but obviously the injury issues with us is going to play a factor. But if we can win, I think we still can win the series. Honestly, so yeah, I would be very happy if we won the series.
Yeah, me too. I'll be interested to see how the lineup kind of shifts this weekend because I feel like it's kind of shifted at least in one way every single week. Last weekend they said Matt Lashley was under the weather a little bit. You didn't see him until a pinch hitting role on Sunday. Yeah, Nick Parham out there in the field. He was a great defender, but just doesn't bring much to the bat.
He hit decently well, though.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I think he had one really big hit on Saturday, but obviously, like early in the game when it still was like mattering. But I think the lineup as a whole I think it'll shift somehow, whether that be guys coming back from injury or something. If Herring comes back and they want to maybe sit Hakame, I don't think they should. In my opinion, right now, the lineup that they brought out, honestly, the whole weekend, I think is exactly how it should be. But obviously, Lashley at shortstop. I couldn't think of his name for some reason. But I think 2-1. I won't talk too much about the Duke game. Obviously, a win helps a lot, but I'd rather have a series win than beat Duke.
Yeah, for sure.
I forgot I'm last. My fault. I forgot. I literally was like waiting for Caleb. I'm like, wait, hold on. You're not supposed to go. I'm the only one who hasn't talked yet. No, I agree with you guys. Obviously, it's a really tough week coming up. Especially losing GVK and having basically the weekend being 2 bullpen days and having Ethan Norby be our primary starter. Going back to kind of the situation we had last year where Ethan Norby was our main guy and those 2 bullpen days after that is kind of what it seemed like last year. We're kind of getting back to that. Unfortunately, due to injury, that's why we're having to get back to that. But, yeah, I'm a little concerned with that. But at the same time, I completely agree with you, Cannon. As much as I want to beat Duke on Tuesday, I mean, everybody wants to win no matter what. I am completely cool if we go 2-2 and our 2 losses is 1 loss to UTSA and 1 loss to Duke. I think I would rather lose to Duke than lose the series because it's gonna be a lot more important to win that series against UTSA than it will be for Duke. That being said, obviously Duke had a coaching change this year, so it'll be really interesting to see how that goes this year with that. We had a competitive game with Duke last year, despite
Chippy.
a very chippy
true.
game last year. A competitive
Cliff got
game.
thrown out of that game.
Yeah, both coaches did.
Yes.
Both coaches got thrown out at the very end of that game. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how that game goes. But I mean, obviously, it's not even a lot of the same players on that team that they had last year. So I think that it'll be a fun game no matter what. Obviously, when you can get an in-state opponent, it's going to be a fun game no matter what. I think it's great for the state of North Carolina when we can play games like this. I'm really excited about it. I think 2-2 is my prediction for the week. 2-1 against UTSA. Gentlemen, do we have any other thoughts about the baseball team right now before we close this podcast?
I feel like this is kind of like we're gonna have to talk about this at some point, and I feel like it's kind of obvious that it will happen. But I'm curious to hear what y'all think. I mean, Sean Jenkins has to be a starter right now.
I mean, I would think maybe.
I would strongly consider it. Yeah.
I mean, Antoli could get on next Sunday because I think
Towers no.
But
now Towers maybe.
I'm fine with Towers.
Towers on Sunday, I'm okay with.
On Sunday, and it's bullpen game. He cannot go. He's not going to go.
He ain't gonna go more than 3.
Oh no, definitely not.
I think it's a good team.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
because you're
like
probably
Sean
gonna
said,
see
that's
you're probably gonna see Moran on Tuesday,
Not mad at that.
which I'm fine with because you didn't see him at all this weekend.
Yeah.
He struggled the last couple times out, but I think that's who you have to throw out there.
You have to.
I mean, it's probably gonna be, if I had to guess, Norby. It should be Jenkins,
Yeah,
but
Sean probably starts.
it should be him on Saturday, and then Antolik or Towers on Sunday.
If it's not Jenkins, we know
Webb.
his role is solidified as a bullpen
I think
guy.
it's Webb on Saturday. If not,
No, I know, but I was just kind of saying.
I
if
know.
it's not,
I think it's Webb.
Yeah,
if
yeah,
not
I
Jenkins.
agree. I completely agree with that.
I mean, he might not start. He could still come in. He could be that guy that comes in after Norby on Friday, or Jenkins on Saturday. Gavin Marley.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
Marley's solid.
I think Marley's our best reliever besides Jenkins.
Yeah, middle because I think he fits that role
Outside-
of come in after
and
5
Webb?
or 6.
And Webb?
He's been just as good as Webb.
He has
Has he
been.
not?
He's been more consistent than Webb has. Not necessarily
Fair. I mean, I guess
great.
the only really bad game Marley had was UNC.
Yeah,
That was like the
and
only
it's UNC.
real
It
bad.
was like of
Yeah.
course the one game that like we all.
Yeah.
finished.
No, that's fair. That's fair. All right, gentlemen. Well, if that's all we got, thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of TECSpertZ. We'll be back again next week to recap what just happened and preview the next week. Until next time, go Pirates!